Hello, everybody. We're going live for Tuesday Talks, and today we have an amazing person called Karen Yates. Now, she is here to inspire my money, and she has said that she helps you find clarity, confidence, and get your strategies going without having to use of a restrictive budget. We all want that, don't we? But here we're going to be asking Karen her journey and see how she got into what she's doing and what's her journey like and what drives her. So without further ado, let's get Karen on board here.
Hi, Karen.
All
How are
right.
you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you very much for hopping on to Tuesday Talks today. I've done a short introduction for you already, but you're the best person to let us know who you are and what do you do, and also the biggest question of all is why do you do it?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be on the show with you. I'm very excited to be here and share my journey. It's a little bit different than a lot of people have. So I will say, Karen Yates, I'm married. I have two children, and I was living this normal American life for 20 years. I had a career, and I was just following this set path that had been laid out for me. You go to school, you get good grades, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you work, and then you retire someday, right? Like that's the hope. But then in 2018, my husband and I found ourselves at a really low point, both in our marriage and in our finances. So we were essentially broke, and our marriage was almost as bad as you could get. And we said, we have to do something different. We either have to do something different or we have to be done. And we decided that we were going to dig in and find the common ground that had brought us together in the first place. And so we started talking, and through all of this talking, we tried some of the normal paths. We tried marriage counseling, that didn't work. We tried online counseling, that didn't help. And so we said, well, what can we do? And we just started talking, just hoping to find that point of connection. And through that, we came to realize that we both wanted the same things. We both wanted to spend more time with each other as well as with our two kids. And so how can we do that? I'm working a normal 9 to 5, well, actually 7 to 5 kind of job, away from the house for that long. We barely see our kids because they're in school, and we're like, you can't do that within the confines of this normal life. And so we decided to kind of explore some options and get creative. And what ended up happening through the course of many months of conversation was that it's like, well, what if we left this programmed life and decided to go and do something different, something of our choosing? And what it ended up being for us was traveling full-time with our two kids and seeing the world, seeing all these places that we had always dreamed of and never thought they might actually happen. And so less than a year later, we had worked through our financial issues, really dug in, found a solution, and started traveling full-time with our kids. So we boarded a plane and headed to Bali with one-way tickets, and we've been back for 2 days to the US since then, and we're just loving life. And part of my motivation is really to inspire others to go after their dreams, because I know that I was stuck following this programmed path. Like, this is what you're supposed to do, right? Beaten into my skull from when I was tiny. And I was like, well, you know what? There are other options. And so many people just think, oh, I can't do that. And they, or I have to wait. I'm going to wait until I retire. I'm going to wait until, the house is paid off. Or I'm going to wait until the kids are out of the house. And they just give up on their dreams. And so that is really a big motivation for me, is to inspire people to actually go after their dreams.
Wow, thank you very much for sharing such an amazing journey, and I love it. And I'm hearing these birds in the background as well, so it's like, wow, it's so great. So it's amazing to hear, that pivotal moment that we all come across. I mean, I don't know anybody who is safe from that pivot moment where they're having some sort of financial crisis or family crisis, maternal or marriage counseling and all that. So there's somebody always goes through something like that. How small or how big that is. It just depends on the couples and the family, how stronger they are, and then they can overcome. So what I hear from your story was, as a family, you guys were very strong to look for that solution, to pivot and say, okay, there must be a way that we can continue and overcome this, right? That it's just an obstacle. It's just a roadblock. If you come across a roadblock on your journey, what do? You don't just sit there and wait for it to finish. You turn around and look for a different route to get to your destination, and that's exactly what you did. So I love that. And so you traveled to Bali, which is like the best place ever, which everybody's bucket list. It's on my bucket list as well. I'm hoping to go there sometime next year. And I take it you're still traveling, right?
Yes. So we went from Bali to Thailand, and then from Thailand we went to Vietnam. And so that was about 6 months into our journey when COVID hit. And so we were in Vietnam and everything started shutting down. And we had tickets already to go to Malaysia and all set to go about 2 weeks after things started to really get hairy. And we had less than 24-hour notice that Malaysia was shutting down their borders. And so we had to quickly weigh decisions. Do we try to stay in Vietnam? Our visa was expiring. Or do we try and change plans and get to Malaysia? So a quick huddle, this is the thing you don't anticipate when you plan this journey, right? That you're going to have to make quick life-changing decisions in the spur of the moment. And we looked at each other and we said, well, we kind of like it here. So we ended up staying in Vietnam for 18 months. And through July of last year, through July of 2020, and we finally left in July of 2020 because they stopped extending our visa. So at that point we said, okay, well, where do we go? We're not done traveling, but we hadn't been able to get the vaccine. It's like you have limited choices at that point. So we said, well, let's go to Mexico. We've been dying for tacos as a family. So it's like, okay, let's go to Mexico. And so we've been in Mexico ever since, and just really enjoying the sun, the warm weather, the friendly people, and just experiencing different cultures and really just loving it.
That's amazing. In terms of, obviously, again, you had to come across another pivotal moment to decide, and take that decision of what you need, what comes first, right? So why change something which is working for you at the moment, but that, okay, the future we will be changing it, what we don't need to. So yeah, there's a roadblock, we can stop and look at the view because you're by the beach, right? So we can enjoy the beach,
Absolutely. And one of the most gorgeous beaches in the world. I mean, just incredible white sand beach that just goes on and on and on with like clear water and such a gentle incline into the water. Absolutely incredibly beautiful.
Amazing. So in terms of, so when you now you're in Mexico, and so this is still the drive there of traveling and everything. So is there a ritual or a routine that you have that keeps the safe drive and motivation day to day? I'm sure, like everybody, you get your down moments as well. But I'm sure those are less than the other ones, so you're always on your feet, moving towards the direction that you've already chosen to do so.
Yeah, I mean, we live a pretty normal life, except that we don't have a home. So we have a lot of family routines. We eat almost all of our meals at home, but we do our exploration and experiencing of cultures. But one of the foundational things for me has been gratitude. just really grounding myself in gratitude. So before I fall asleep and when I wake up in the morning, it's thinking, what am I grateful for? And it used to be, you could think of, I could only think of a few things. And now like the list just goes on and on and on. And it really allows me to just start the day and end the day with this just good feeling inside that just kind of fills you up. And I found that just really helps, take away any of those small little annoying things that happen throughout the day. And it makes you realize that, hey, you know what? I'm in Acapulco, Mexico. In March, I'm able to go swimming. And, I grew up in the north in Michigan. It was cold. So I'm just like loving this. And I'm like, this is what I need to focus on and let the little things just be bygones and move forward. And it really does help me to stay grounded and on track.
I love that. I love that. And most of the episodes we have in the previous ones and previous entrepreneurs and so forth, they've all mentioned gratitude quite often as their first thing. And I mean, I can also say the gratitude, and as rightly so you said, the list grows and grows. In the beginning, you might just find it difficult to even like list 2 or 3 things down, but as you continue, the list grows on and big and big. And now, do you write them down? Do you have a diary that you keep, or is that a different way of doing it? How do you do it?
I've gone back and forth. Because we travel, I try not to write too much on paper because it just gets cumbersome. But I tried doing it online. And I did that for a while, and now I just find that just grounding myself in the moment and mentally just going through the list and just, taking that time when I wake up and as I'm going to sleep to have those moments, that really works really, really well for me.
Well, yeah, that's actually good because I myself go in and out of digital because I record myself speaking to it, and there's like I have a secret YouTube which nobody else gets to see it, and it's full of my gratitudes. Or sometimes I just, as you just said, yeah, ground myself, sit down, close your eyes, and just say it to myself, and it's it's there, it's happening to recognize everything that's happened. With the gratitude, what the great thing is that you are actually looking at what you've achieved so far rather than where you are not. Because a lot of time society teaches us to look at the target, which is your goal, and then run for it. But then you are looking at it and then you're thinking how far it is, right? Every time you're looking at it, it's still far, but you're not looking at how far you've come, right? Even though
Yes.
you've come a far journey. So even though if it's a few days ahead, but you've taken a few days to get there as well. And that journey only comes through when you start looking into your gratitudes of recognizing where you are and getting yourself together and enjoying that moment of where you are and how you got there, and sort of worrying about how we're gonna reach that target, that goal, that destination. That will always happen. I always say to everybody, if you have thought about a thing to do, so it could be anything, if you want to do it, it's already started happening. You just don't know when it will happen unless focus onto it and go full speed ahead. Then it will happen quicker. Otherwise, that journey has already started because a thought had appeared in your mind. And our mind is so strong that it will always point out somewhere later in life that thought when you come near that object or that thing that you thought of. When it's there, it will remind you. And then you will have to make that choice of, right, shall I go for it now or no? And I have so many examples of myself having these things. Physically, seeing it and achieving those is amazing. So in terms of you, so you're now, how do you help others now get that inspiration of so helping them with finance without worrying about budgeting? Because that everybody, when they think of finance, they want to just budget, cut down this, live on the minimal you can, save, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's like the message that all these experts out there say, you know, you got to go on a budget, 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 budget. You know, if you look up solutions, you know, for money problems, everybody says go on a budget. And I can tell you, my husband and I have never gone on a budget. We've had highs and we've had lows, and we've never been on a budget. So even in 2018, when we started working our way out of our rut, saving up money, and by the time we left, we had 1 year's worth of living expenses saved up in like 9 months of time. And we looked at each other and we said, holy crap, you know, we just did this. And we have to share this because we didn't use a budget. And what we find as we dig into it is that budgeting is so restrictive, right? It makes you feel small. It makes you feel like you can't do something. And that's exactly the opposite of the feeling that we want people to have. We want you to feel that you can do what you want to do, right? You can have those dreams come true. And so what we focused on really was our goal. And we put all of our experiences into this package that says, okay, this is how you do this. You get laser focused on what it is that you want to accomplish. And then those financial decisions that you're making, should I go and get a new GoPro or should I not? It becomes really simple because you start balancing it against, does this help me achieve my goal or does it not? If it doesn't, is it worth it? And it just becomes this weighing, and you're always balancing it against what it is that's most important to you. And I, as a coach, am never going to tell you that your values aren't right, right? Everybody has their own values, and so it's so important that you set your own values, that you really get familiar with what it is that you want. And so for us, when we were going through this process, and it was like, okay, we want to leave the States. I need to quit my job. We need to have money. We need to, you know, get a business. We need to clear out, you know, all of our stuff. And everything was just working towards that goal. And so financial decisions just became simpler. And so, you know, it's not that we scrimped and saved every single penny. You know, we still went out to eat. It's one of the things that we really enjoy. But we made different decisions. You know, so instead of going to the, you know, $100 restaurant for 4 of us, for family of 4, you know, we might go to the $40 restaurant. You know what, we still enjoyed our time out, but we didn't spend as much money. And that $60 that we didn't spend went into our travel fund. And now it's like this win. It's not that we felt like we were restricted and we couldn't go to that have that $100 meal. We say, okay, you know what, it's more important that we put that money towards our travel. And it just became so easy to really work towards that goal. It's like once you have that goal in mind, once you have it clear, and especially once couples are working together, because we'd had goals before, and we'd had similar goals, but my husband and I were not on the same page as far as communicating about those goals. And so we'd work towards them in almost opposition to each other. And so we found that, okay, we have to communicate with each other. We have to get on the same page. And then working towards them, knowing exactly what it is that we wanted, makes everything so much easier.
I love this, and thanks for sharing this as well. It's amazing to hear that, you know, you don't need to go into this restrictive budgeting side of things. If your goal is big enough in terms of your why, you know, why you're doing what you're doing, there's always a way, and you will find that way, as you were just saying, right? You're not going to that $100 restaurant. Just go to a $40 restaurant. Nothing wrong with it. You know, it's still a decent night out with the family, right? And that's what counts. It's not where you are going. The thing should count is that you're spending a nice time with your family, and the kids are getting to enjoy themselves being out, and you two are having a nice time seeing them play and be running around and be together as well, right? And that's what counts.
Yes.
So the money side of things then go. It doesn't really matter how much you spend, and if you spend as less as possible, great, because then you are able to put the money aside for the things that really matter for future, right? And that's what I'm hearing. It's quite interesting to hear, you know, that because I would say that I am doing something similar without knowing that you know these ways of what you've come across. But it's a case of what I always do is I have a mindset of certain things that I want in life to happen, and myself and my other half, we together think of those things, right? Okay, yeah, how are we going to do it? And if we are out and about, like we need to go out and restaurants and things like that, we do go out we will just say, okay, whatever comes first. If it becomes usually becomes a mid-range restaurant or something like that, so a $40 one, we'll just go in. We're not thinking about it. And if the next time we came across an expensive one, we'll just go in. Then we just know that has just put a dent for the next one. So we just need we focused on it. Okay, we aware of what's happened. That this week there is less money going into the fund. The next week, if we don't go out, might be double, but we're not forcing ourselves to not go out. We still do what we need to do to get the wheel still going and enjoy ourselves. We're not stopping ourselves as well, which when hearing from you is very refreshing as well. So that it's a good way of doing things, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because we still advocate, enjoying life, right? We only get one life. And so, don't go on this, rice and beans kind of diet, because who's going to enjoy that, right? And if you hate the process, which is the problem with budgeting, people hate the process, right? Like, oh, you feel awful because you're not allowed to do something. And if you take that away and now you're making choices, now it's entirely different. And so the other part of that we advocate is what we call expense tracking. So you actually look back at the previous month and you say, how much did you spend on, going out to eat? How much did you spend on entertainment? How much did you spend on, all these different categories? And you look at that and you say, okay, where are we at? How do we feel about what happened last month? Because you need to know where your money is going, but you just don't need to be restricted in the moment and say, oh my gosh, I can't go out to eat. I can't, go get a coffee with my friend because my budget says I don't have that money, and so you just look back and you say, okay, how did we do? And then you make decisions based on that. And so, if you spent too much, you don't feel good about how much you spent in your entertainment fund, then you say, you know what? I think next month we just need to cut back a little bit. And that knowledge is there, and you know that you're working towards the goal. And so everything becomes this flow of positivity, whereas the budgeting just makes it this flow of negative thought. And so we just change it, we switch it around, and find that it works so much better. People are so much more willing to continue with the process that they enjoy, because they're actually enjoying life as they go through this.
Yeah, and I love this. I mean, when you were just saying that, a thought came in my mind in terms of like when people are budgeting, there is again, a society is getting you to look at where you're not at, instead of how far you've come. Because if you're budgeting, you're always looking at, I need to reach there and I'm not there. Therefore, I need to put away more money, or therefore I need to put away, do more to what I need to do, and then you forget to enjoy life, and it becomes tiresome, and you're not enjoying it. It's just not right, and that's what I heard from what you just said. So thank you for sharing that as well. So, what is a typical journey of someone who connects with you? Would be like, it's what kind of things that you offer? Is it something one-to-one group coaching? Is that a program?
Sure. So we have a video program, and it includes one-on-one coaching. And so you go through the videos, self-paced kind of videos, you work through the material that way, and then there's one-on-one coaching to answer any personal questions. So it's individualized and really allows people to dive in deep to their specific questions, because no advice works for every single person out there, and especially when our program is really designed for the individual to decide their path. We are not here, I say we, it's my husband and I that work together at this. We're not here to tell anyone that this is your path. I lived that for way too long. So I'm not telling anyone what their path should be, or what their goals should be, or what their values should be. It's it's all about the individual of the couple and what they really value, what they truly want, and then working with them to help them find ways to really incorporate that into their daily life to make it happen.
And I love that. I love that. And people who are watching this now should definitely should connect or reach out to you. I know you're usually most active on Facebook, right?
Yes, I'm more active on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And what's the handle for those? Is that same?
It's Karen Yates, Inspire My Money.
Inspire my. So if they search for Inspire My Money, they will come across, or Karen as well, Karen
Yes.
Yates. That's great. So you're obviously still traveling and doing everything that you love. So the drive behind it, of course, which was to have the family as one unit and enjoy being together and fulfill the dreams that everybody has, right? Um,
Yes.
what do you do when you have a downtime, which everybody gets it? Um, how do you pick yourself back up to continue on that journey?
It's really just it's finding that center, that goal, that dream, and realizing, looking back and saying, you know what, we could still be in Kansas. Um, and nothing against Kansas. Kansas is a wonderful place. But, when you can go hike up a volcano in Mexico, you can't exactly do that when you're in Kansas. And so, the downtimes do come. It's life. There are ups and downs, absolutely. And, leaving the States and doing something completely different doesn't take those away. So they're still there. But it's like looking at where we've come from, and what we've done along the way, and realizing that there is more of that to come. And so downtimes come and you say, okay, this is just part of life. And you just, look back and you say, okay, I'm not there anymore. I'm not at this point in my marriage where like it's ending. I'm not at this point where we have zero money. And this is good. We're moving forward, and we can take this little downturn and just move on and go past.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, in regards to your journey that you're on now as well, are there any motivational quotes that you follow, or is there like meditation do you do, or is there other routines as well that you do? Like people talk about drinking certain type of waters, for example, things like that.
No, not so much. I try to keep grounded. I do try to read some self-improvement books, keep learning, growing, exploring new ideas, and just always doing something new. Um, that really just helps me to grow and be present too. I feel like it's really important. My previous life, I say previous life, but when I was working in my job and everything, I wasn't very much present in the moment. And I find that, when that happens, it still happens occasionally. You kind of drift off and you're in your own little zone. And I really try to intentionally bring myself back to the moment to enjoy what is right here, and really just enjoy, because we do only live once. And it's like, I feel that too many people go through life just kind of stuck in their little bubble and not realizing that there's so much more out there. And so, I'm experiencing so much more, and it's like, okay, be present and enjoy this and live it to its fullest.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much. And so, what book would you recommend that you've come across and you've read to the viewers or listeners?
One of it's kind of, I don't know, The Miracle Morning. Um, we actually read it several years ago, and we had our then, oh, I don't know, probably 10-year-old son read it. And he's 15 now, he's reread it. Our 9-year-old daughter has now read it. It's just about getting motivated in the morning to just, embrace the day and, quit hitting the snooze button and just dive in and do. And I think it's great motivation to just to grab the day that way and say, yes, this is my day to do what it is that I want to do.
And the book was called Miracle Mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Okay, so definitely I will have a look for that. I have not read that, so I've got Audible, so I'll see if it's available there. If not, I'll try to find a YouTube version of it. Um, and we should be wrapping this up shortly as well. Is there something you would like to say to the listeners or viewers before we wrap things up as well?
Yeah, I just really like to encourage everyone to stop waiting for that someday, hopefully, maybe cross your fingers, hope this happens, and go after those dreams. Everyone has them. So people don't, connect with them very often, but everyone has those dreams. And it's really, I'm really here to inspire people to go after those dreams, to not let your current position hold you back. You know, just because you don't have the money right now, or you don't have the situation, your situation isn't ideal, go after them because they are attainable. And you don't have to wait for crossing your fingers and hoping that something magical is going to happen some point in the future.
Wow, thank you very much for sharing such an inspirational journey of yours and wonderful golden nuggets as well. I'm sure that people are able to use. I would definitely recommend everybody who is listening to us or watching us live as well to connect with you if they are looking at sorting their journey out, whether that's with money or anything, right? Because what I heard is you are able to help with quite a lot of stuff with what you are doing already. So that's amazing. Thank you very much for sharing this. And everybody who is watching now and listening now, we'll be back next Tuesday with another amazing entrepreneur and share their journey. And if this episode had sparked a aha moment or that's light, it's our responsibility now to share this episode with somebody else. If somebody's name that popped up in your mind or the person that just appeared in your mind whilst you were listening to this, we should not keep this episode with them, just share it, because we do not know who's just woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better today or tomorrow. So, and this episode might just spark the same excitement as what you just had. Karen, thank you very much for your time today. And everybody else, thank you very much as well.
All right, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye now.